Worship is about connecting and communing with God through ordinary things that we can experience as wonderful. Worship is about getting in contact, getting into the atmosphere of God's presence through experiencing ordinary and mundane things with a sense of wonder. What makes worship wonderful in this chapel, for instance, is that we can see ordinary things assembled in beautiful ways. Just take a look around you. Take in the arrangement of stone, of wood, of tile, of arches. When we consider what is around us, what accents and adds this sense of wonder is that ordinary things that once were in the ground have been unearthed and assembled into patterns, into styles, into modes of hanging together that we can experience as marvelous rather than mundane. Worship, dear friends, is about this sense of defying what may appear to be deteriorating around us, what may appear to be being destroyed in our midst and even at our feet. We can nevertheless have a rebellious sense of Christian witness that amounts to preserving that interior sense of worship and wonder. Are you thinking with me tonight? In this respect, I can hear Psalm 99 ringing in my ear. The division of the Psalter that we just heard in our reading describes the glory of the Lord in a simultaneously removed and yet exalted fashion. It describes the glory of God in a way that kind of feels at arm's length, but yet has this ring of intimacy and invocation that is nevertheless attached to it. The worship-driven shade of meaning is found in God being enthroned among cherubim angels in verse 1. In verse 2, God is exalted above people. In verse 5, there's an explicit and express call for worship. Do you see that in the text? But there's also an undercurrent of meaning that enables the ordinary, quotidian, and regular things to nevertheless be seen as resplendent. A city in verse 2, a cloud in verse 7, a giant rock or mountain in verse 9. Psalm 99 teaches us that God is not only beyond us, but God is accessible to us when we view mundane things in light of their full magnificence, in light of the totality of their worth, in light of the complete range and scope of their beauty. Christianity, I'd posit, is an aesthetic revolt against the world's sometimes too casual treatment of what is taken to be beautiful and meritorious. Christianity is in part about recognizing that God has ordained an ordinary holiness and a sense of wonder in places that we may overlook or places where we may underestimate what the divine has created. Can we tussle together with some questions, Imagine Worship? Can I have your permission on this side to grapple together with some questions? Is that all right? What if the ordinary rhythms of your day-to-day life contain hidden opportunities for worship and for wonder? What would it look like for us to reorient ourselves through seizing silent opportunities to recall the mountaintop moments that we just turn and talk to one another about? What would it look like for us to reclaim and retrieve the notes section of our iPad or iPhone as an opportunity for introspective journaling as well as invocation unto God? What if, just suppose that there are hidden, slightly veiled opportunities for worship and for wonder in our day-to-day lives? Suppose with me, Imagine Worship, that praising the God of Psalm 99 is not so much about looking beyond this world, but rather about being blown away in regards to how this world, sometimes cruel, this world, sometimes callous, this world, sometimes calamitous, is nevertheless the object of God's sense of equity and righteousness and justice, talked about in verse 4 of Psalm 99. Worship, perhaps, is the meeting ground of beholding the beauty of the divine while also beholding the beautiful of our everyday lives, the beautiful within our environment, the beautiful that resides irrevocably within each and every one of us. Worship, perhaps, is that overlapping spot where our hunger to tremble and to quake in God's presence streams into that hunger that Jesus calls a blessed hunger for justice and righteousness in Matthew chapter 5. Let me see if I can get at this from another angle. The attention economy of our algorithms suggests that moral outrage and moral courage are synonyms. Is that on anybody's blue sky? Is that on anybody's Instagram? That righteous indignation is the natural, almost inevitable mood of interior resistance to authoritarian politics. Am I talking plainly tonight? I affirm the sacred potential of anger, but permit me a word on behalf of worship and wonder. Wonder asks the question, how else might we organize our city as well as our interior lives so that the quality of insight and justice that we see in Psalm 99 might be reflected in the world? Wonder and worship poses the question, I know what the status quo is, but is there an alternate way of assembling and arranging the ordinary stuff so that we can have an extraordinary experience of solidarity, an extraordinary experience of belonging, an extraordinary experience of beloved community? What if the ordinary stuff all around us, in our hands, in our field of vision, in our field of community, can be transfigured into something that is extraordinary? Informed by Psalm 99, I want to experience the city and the clouds and the rock as symbols for connecting to the Ancient of Days, the exalted one who is in our everyday field and circumference of experience that we call God. I'm reminded of co-author Riley's words about wonder. Some wonders have a way of holding us, she argues. In the deterioration of this present world, she argues that we have to protect this, that wonder and beauty may not be precise cures for disillusionment, but they stave off the despair of it. Beloved friends, please protect your capacity for wonder. Beloved friends, please reserve for yourself the right to remain in awe. Hold on to your sacred agency and autonomy to be astonished. Hold on to what Rabbi Abraham Joshua Heschel called a sense of radical amazement just at being alive. I grew up in a tradition that said, my soul looks back in wonder at how I got over. Oh Lord, my God, when I survey the awesome works of your hands, then sings my soul. Did we not sing that? My Savior, God, to thee. As we tilt this world towards the equity and righteousness named in Psalm 99, verse 4, God's wonderful love holds us. God's wonderful love shields us even against the despair of disillusionment. God's love heals disappointment enough for us to wonder how life might be with one more try, one more attempt, one more bold choice. God's wonderful, more than I ever dreamt possible love protects us against a too easy assimilation into hopelessness, against a too easy assimilation into fatalism, and there's nothing I can do to change the things that I don't really like. As I get ready to take my seat, I leave you with this parting invitation. Hold on to the wonder. And let the wonder hold on to you. Hold on to the wonder and let the mercy of God hold on to you. Hold on to God's wonderful, wonder-working power And let the grace of God, surpassing analogy, the peace of God, surpassing all understanding, hold on to you. Hold on to the wonder. And let the God whose a priori love cannot be properly reduced to metaphors and to things that we have experienced, yet is available within the field of ordinary things. Hold on to the wonder. And let God revive your imagination. Hold on to the wonder, to a sense of how things might be, to a sense of how things can be. And by the stubbornness of grace, how things will be. God bless you.